It's back to school this week, which means pickups, drop-offs, playdates, and the rest. I'm driving a Kia Sorento. It's the GT-Line, which is top of the range in a diesel version. And if you're looking at 7-seaters, you'll also be looking at a Nissan Pathfinder, a Toyota Kluger, and a Mazda CX-9. So how did the Sorento fare on a week where I had to transport a few of the kids' friends around? Let's find out. There is a bunch of room in the Sorento in the back, and the seats are pretty easy to pop down and move forward so you can climb in. The back row is so spacious. I'm 161 centimeters and I was able to sit back here for a long journey quite comfortably. This week I volunteered to take 2 children plus my 2 to a play date purely because I had this car. I wouldn't have been able to do that in a 5-seater. The back row has its own climate controls, there are speakers, you've got cup holders and storage. The kids were comfortable, excited, but most of all safe. The Sorento has airbags that cover the driver and passenger, but also side curtain airbags. The second row is spacious too, and my 2 girls aged 4 and 6 had heaps of room back here, but to be honest, they'll have heaps of room till they're fully grown. There's a lot of space. We've got 2 cup holders in the front, 2 in the middle, 2 in the back, plus a bottle holder in each door. There's a sizable centre storage bin, plus there's pockets on the back of the front seats. The front is breezy. I've got my own airspace, which is luxury in itself for me. The GT line is top of the range, so that means you'll get leather appointed seats, which actually feel quite good. The steering wheel isn't leather, but it still feels nice. And you've got a beautiful big sunroof here, which lets in some glorious natural light. The interiors are well designed, but it's always this bubble finish here that makes me feel like I'm not in a high-end car. So this car, I think, is for those people who like all the trimmings, but who don't want it too slick. We're keeping it real in the Kia Sorento. Driving is pretty good. It's smooth on the road, it handles really well, the steering is responsive, and I feel confident and safe. It's powerful enough. It's got a 2.2 litre 4-cylinder engine, so it'll get you up hills, it just won't fly up them. The engine is a little noisy because the GT line only comes in diesel, and I'm not sure why, because I find it quite loud. It sounds a bit like an old combi. One of my favourite things is that even though it's a really big car, it's actually really easy to park because it's got a 360-degree camera. So you can see behind you, in front of you. It's even got a view from the top that actually shows you how far away from the curb or wall you are. I just found it really helpful. From the outside, I like the way it manages not to look as big as, for example, a Toyota Kluger, but it's still a little bit too stocky for me. Reminds me of like a sports player, you know, beefy. I especially am not a fan of this big front grille here. It's just a little bit stocky. I personally like my cars a little bit more sleek, but if stocky is your thing, you will love this car. The multimedia system is good. It comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so you can plug in and be immediately connected to all your major phone apps like Maps and Spotify. Your own music in the car is such a big win. It's worth noting that in the top of the range Kluger and the Pathfinder, the kids will get their own screen to watch movies on in the back. Not so in the Sorento or the CX-9. But this car does come in at about $10,000 less than a Kluger or a Pathfinder. So it's up to you how important those entertainment screens are. Boot space is fairly stock standard. With all 7 seats in play, you've got just enough room for school bags and a few grocery bags. With the last row down, the boot opens up to 602 litres, which is plenty of space, but it's not as big as a CX-9's or a Pathfinder's. It is bigger than a Kluger's though. With all the seats down, the boot is massive. The GT line comes with that most useful of features, the boot that opens when you touch a button. Honestly, this should be mandatory on all parents' cars. The Kia Sorento has been a really great car for me and my family this week, with so much space for every passenger, a confident driving manner, and the lower price and lower fuel consumption. I gave it a family rating of 8 out of 10. My girls also gave it 8 out of 10. They loved being able to transport their friends around.